How did you find out that that was your sweet spot?
I think you feel these types of things in your gut. They're the things you do that people aren't telling you to do. I don't know. It was like me in a storage closet with some brooms and some books and stuff running nations.
I love it because some people it's in a garage, some people it's in a garage, some people it's in a dorm.
Yeah,
and then for
me it was a storage closet.
It was like Mark Zuckerberg was in a dorm.
It was a storage.
Then Google
closet.
Was a garage, and Ty Heath, it was a storage closet.
But I got my chops in a storage closet, so I started running a B2B marketing agency out of the storage closet at my MBA program, and that was my beginning in B2B marketing.
Mic drop.
The first search engine you search is the one in your mind. You know, you're calling up, what do I know already about this spot I find myself in, and what solutions am I aware of? And a lot of times, like, people just go with,
Welcome to Driving Impact. Ty, welcome to the Driving Impact podcast. I'm so excited to see you today. It's a dream come true, honestly.
thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. And for those who don't know Ty is the market engagement director at LinkedIn, where she works at the B2B Institute, which is a think tank for LinkedIn that solves all of marketing's problems, biggest problems. Yeah. It's B2B and it's beyond B2B. So Ty, I want to triple down on your career. You were, in my head, you're an Olympian, because when I started LinkedIn, somebody told me, Ty, she was in the Olympics, and it's still stuck to my head. Let's say you're a former athlete. Mm-hmm. And how did you go from being a former athlete to now being a director of market engagement at LinkedIn in B2B? And what were the different pivots that you've done in your career? Mm-hmm. And did you have any like important turning points and moments that help you find your calling?
Yeah. First of all, I love that somehow it went from like where I am to the Olympics. Like, actually,
we're not being
it
dramatic
would have been
at all.
amazing to actually go, but I was a two-time Olympic trials qualifier in the 800 meters, which is like, people can fight me on this. It is literally like one of the hardest races. I would say steeplechase is the only one that's maybe harder than that. But anyway,
it's a big deal.
It's a tough race, but I loved it. That was an excellent starting point, because what I got from it was discipline, mm-hmm. being able to focus on something consistently, learning how to deal with failure.
That's a big one.
So that's a big one. You know, getting second place, getting third place, and learning how to get back out there and look at what you didn't do so well so that you can come back stronger next time. And then just even thinking about, I don't know if we have any track and field folks in the audience, but even thinking about the 800 meter as a race itself. Yeah. You're sprinting, and it's also strategic because it's distance. We're distance sprinting. Yeah. Pretty much. So it's painful, but strategic at the same time. So I think there's a lot you can learn from that, like making decisions in the moment, making snap judgment calls, but also thinking about what is my strategy going into this. So I got so much of a foundation from track and field that I bring into my career. Yeah. So how did I get to where I am right now? Ran track growing up. One of my best memories is like my parents taking me to the track, but followed that all the way through college, went to Georgetown, finished as one of the top ranked 800 meter runners, wanted to continue running track and field because there's only so much time in your life that you can do something like that. Yeah. So I, found the Nike farm team. So I had some coaches that had moved out to California. So at Stanford University, training a group of 800 meter runners, to try out for the 2004 Olympics. And so that's what brought me to the Bay Area. I'm the child of Jamaican parents. Mm-hmm. Talking to them, the usual careers are, doctor, lawyer, engineer, choose one.
Same with
Asian. I don't know if that was your experience
It's
too?
like you have three career choices. Yeah. You're lawyer, engineer, or doctor. Mm-hmm. Maybe psychologist.
Right. So working in tech, not a thing. But the pursuing track and field brought me to the heart of Silicon Valley.
Which is amazing.
That's how I ended up. So I started out as a first grade assistant teacher.
Wow.
Which was, wow.
Yeah.
Loved the kids. It was like a affluent private elementary school, which was a great experience in itself. It allowed me to get to the track every day. By 3:30, school ended. I'm at the track. I'm training. The problem was I was getting sick all the time. The kids were sneezing on me. I had to find something else. So this is how I ended up in tech. This is random. Craigslist.com. You know Craigslist,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, I can't train. I'm sick. I need to figure this out. I'm looking for another role, position, something that allows me to train for track at the same time. I stumble across a business development position at Google on Craigslist.
No way. Like a sales job.
Yes.
Wow.
So I said at the time, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Decided to apply, get invited in for the interview. The lady's like, you have no experience in this. Like, why should I give you a chance? I am somebody who jumps off of things and figures things out. I know that about myself. I told this woman, if you give me a chance, I will be the top performing person on your team within the quarter. And she was like, let me see if this girl can do it. And then I was like, I got the role, and then I had to do it.
So you were hired, and then you learned how to do sales, business development at Google.
Yeah, I had to figure it out. So that was a grind. But I went from there to Google AdSense, to Google AdWords, to Google Product. I moved through the different roles at Google. They were supportive of me taking time off to go try out for the Olympics in 2004.
That's incredible.
But that was my entry into tech, and I've been in tech ever since. Fell in love with marketing. I did study politics. I thought I was going to go into government, but I think marketing is like politics in a way, because it's about ideas and moving people, moving things forward. So there was a lot of things that appealed to me about government and politics are inside of marketing. Messages, moving people at scale, thinking about what human behavior and what scares people, what makes them inspired. How do we move them? How do messages land?
I think it's so interesting, Ty, because like we have a similar background. So when I hear you, I was not a track runner at all, but I spent 10 years at Google in sales and business development, and that's like, it's like being an Olympian, because that's hard. And I studied political science as well, and then
you did,
got into marketing. So I totally like feel like you're my soul sister.
Kindred spirits here. I didn't know that about you. That's great.
That's so funny though.
Yeah.
Keep going. I want to hear more.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So I spent quite a bit of time at Google, and then, my mom and dad both have advanced degrees, so they both continued on. It was important to me to go back to school. I kept finding different opportunities. And then finally I was like, I understand advertising.
Yeah.
I learned advertising at Google's and Google AdWords. So, you learn about, the whole world of pay-per-click and how does that work? And that there's a lot to know there. But what about the fundamental science of marketing? Like, what does it mean to build a brand? What is marketing? What's marketing strategy? How do you come up with that? What does that really mean? That's what I wanted to understand. And so I went back to get my MBA in marketing and operation system management, looking at different schools.
Yeah.
I went to looked at a lot of different schools, but I came across a professor at Emory University. And it was a place I was considering, but I wasn't looking at it as strongly until this entrepreneurship professor, and this is actually, he's a mentor to me, this gentleman named Charlie Getz. And he said that I talked about my passion for entrepreneurship as well as marketing. And he said he's a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
And has launched a number of successful businesses and teaches there. And he said, if you come here, I'll help you start something.
That's incredible. So he was one of the pivotal mentors.
One of the catalysts for me making the choice, and he kept his word. He kept his word. After the first year, I started agency out of a storage closet.
Wow.
In the program office. I'm like, did they know that? I don't know. It was like me in a storage closet with some brooms and some books and stuff running an agency.
I love it, because some people it's in a garage, some people it's in a garage, some people it's in a dorm.
Yeah.
And then for
me, it was a storage closet.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg was in a dorm.
It was a storage
closet. And Google
closet.
was a garage, and Ty Heath, it was a storage closet.
But I got my chops in a storage closet. But B2B, the B2B angle, I was in coffee shops and I was like trying to keep up with what's happening in the world of marketing. And I found myself downloading at the time, like all this stuff from HubSpot, just downloading.
Nice.
Like I was like filling out those forms. I was like, give me all the knowledge, to the point where somebody called me from HubSpot. They were like, are you an agency? Like, who are you exactly? I probably was like the top downloader or something.
Wow,
I probably
I love
triggered
it.
some sort of like thing. So they were like, are you an agency? And I was like, no, I'm just a person who is trying to learn about inbound marketing and B2B. And the guy was like, well, do you want to be an agency? And I was like, sure.
Wow.
Let's do
Wow.
this. The randomest entrance into B2B that you could imagine. So I started running a B2B marketing agency out of the storage closet at my MBA program. And that was my beginning in B2B marketing.
Mic drop.
You know, I mean, you follow what the spirit tells you to do. The guy said, do you want to be an agency? And I said, that sounds great.
I want to see like Ty Heath in the 20s sitting in that closet with all the downloads. It's incredible. And then what brought you to LinkedIn?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So after running my agency for a while, I learned so much, and I have so much respect for entrepreneurs, people who run agencies. The agency business, you have ideas, you got to deliver.
Yeah.
You have customers that need leads, and in B2B there's relationship building.
Yeah.
You have to manage a lot of different moving parts, from the social to the blogging to the SEO there's a lot to understand. And that's part of why I like B2B so much. Mm-hmm. Like the whole relationship building aspect of it is fascinating to me.
And nurturing all the leads.
Yeah, the leads, all of that. I loved it. I loved it. Plus it's kind of an underdog type thing. People are not necessarily like, I love B2B. Let me do B2B marketing.
I
like underdog type stuff. Yeah. We try to make B2B sexy. So, sorry, what were we talking?
What brought you? So how did LinkedIn find you?
Yes. Okay. So, running my agency for a while, and, it was great. Built up a small team. I had wonderful, took some businesses that were, startups into like fruition, mm-hmm. which was like a huge point of pride for me. Huge point of pride. MindTickle, for example, was one of the companies. I know there's actually a tool that LinkedIn uses today.
So you brought
that was one of my
small brands from being startups to being like mainstream brands, mm-hmm. or maybe potentially IPO and whatnot.
Yeah, just getting them from zero leads to, getting to be viable.
Wow, businesses.
And so I loved the work, but what I found that I loved most about the work was exploring like the science of it, explaining it, breaking down the complexities of it. And I said, what would it look like for me to do that aspect of it more often? And, when I was at Google, I think the time that I was happiest was when I was in my product education role, when I was traveling and teaching people, how do you think about doing SEM pay-per-click effectively? What does it look like?
How did you find out that was your sweet spot? Because it takes reflection to identify what are you passionate about when you're doing a role that's a very high altitude role, high speed as well, high intensity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to Google, I think you feel these types of things in your gut. They're the things you do that people aren't telling you to do, but you're just finding that you're doing them because you love them. So So, for example, I when I was working in like kind of a customer service type role at Google, I found myself just like researching the competition, researching like how might we frame this differently for a customer. So I would just build it, make a deck, and then share it out to the team.
Yeah.
So I was just doing this just for fun and because I loved it. And then one of the leaders there liked a deck that I created, and she's like, why don't you present this to the team? And then she was like, you should you should be out talking about this. Like, you should go do this.
It's like market research.
Yeah.
You're passionate about researching.
I'm passionate about it, and I was just doing it anyway. And I just love taking things that are complex and thinking about how to make it simple, but not just simple, but like also entertaining.
Yeah.
I've always been like a teacher at heart, but a little bit of a ham. Like a little bit of a ham as a child. I love to like make people feel comfortable with information and find openings for people. I love creating experiences around it. So I just found that like whenever I was doing something like that is when I was happiest. And so I had a moment when I was running my agency. It was like 4:00 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And I was like looking at like the red glow of the alarm clock, and I was like doing somebody's campaign. And it was like, I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Like, this is great. And I've learned a lot, and I have these chops. I have these skills. I know how to drive leads.
Yeah.
But the part that I love about it is like the breaking down of the concept, the consulting aspect of it. And I was like, it's time.
So that's how you found your calling. Because I feel like if it was 4 a.m. and you didn't have any sense of time and space, you were in a state of flow, right? So thinking about our audience is like, if you're trying to find your calling, is think about what are the different moments in your career, in your life, your personal life, professional life, where you just, time disappears and it's not something that you have to do, but you're in a full state of flow. That's what I'm hearing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I started reaching out. Shout out to Heidi Anderson. I don't know if I can drop names on here.
Yeah, just drop all the names.
Love her, but I reached out to her. We had worked together at Google, and I said, "What's going on over at LinkedIn?" And she was like, "Oh, she's like, there's a agency and channel like education role open," and so I applied.
That's how you started.
That's how I started. Yeah, so I got back to doing like more of what I loved at the core. Yeah.
So you stayed in your area of passion and you tripled down. And now that brought you to be at this very innovative portion of LinkedIn, which is one of my favorites, honestly. When I joined, I was like, I cannot believe this exists. I was freaking out. I was sitting with you all, and I was like, this is so amazing. I'm a big hype girl. But thank you so much for sharing about this.
Yeah.
And from me sitting in customer meetings with you and the rest of the team at the B2B Institute, what I uncovered is this concept that all those brands, they want to become memorable, right? You, Peter, John, Jan, everybody's like, you got to have a memorable brand. So tell me, Ty, why is it important for a company in this day and age to be memorable?
Yeah.
And then how do you get there? What are the frameworks and approaches?
Yeah, we love behavioral science at the B2B Institute. Yeah, which was, by the way, an intelligent risk that we took to create that's now become a brand and hopefully a guiding light for folks within B2B. That's what we aim to be at the B2B Institute with mental models.
It's super inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. We're really proud. And but you know, we're huge fans of behavioral science. Memory is something I think is hard. It's hardwired. It's what humans do to make decisions and make sense of things, and it's hardwired. And so we like to talk about this idea of the brand that's remembered is the brand that's bought.
Okay.
Because, you know, we as humans are looking for things that catch our attention, that are familiar, that we can trust, you know, that inspire us. And those are things that marketing can tap into. You know, there's this one interesting study that we talk about in our work where just thinking about memory, because, you know, it is really all about memory. there are a few things that humans do outside of the context of memory. And, there's this one study that says that like there's a study, somebody was learning vocabulary underwater.
Yeah.
And it's most easiest for them to recall that vocabulary when they're back underwater again. So memory is not just about like a thing or a moment. It's about like what you're doing. It's like the when as well. There's a lot of things wrapped up in that are associated, like the types of ice cream that you eat at Christmas time versus another, like all of those things. It's very human.
I love it. So the brand that is remembered is the brand that is bought. And that's why the concept of memorability is important in marketing, but in life, which means that when we were cavemen and cavewomen, we had to remind us, like we have to think about something, to some association coming from memory that would dictate our behavior.
Yes, that's absolutely right. It's about this. It's decision making, right? You are in a moment when you need something. The first search engine you search is the one in your mind. You're calling up, what do I know already about this spot I find myself in, and what solutions am I aware of? And a lot of times, like people just go with the first thing that we talk about, this idea of satisficing. Like people don't have the energy to do like a ton of research and do all the things. We think we are doing some research online, but a lot of times it comes back to that, what's already there for me.
So that's why branding is important. And it's kind of like, as humans, right? We're pressing the easy button.
That's great.
Where am I going to go? I'm going to go where I went yesterday and the day before, and where it's comfortable. So that's important. So when brands come to you, what do you tell them to do to become memorable? Because that's the $1 million question.
Yeah. So this is where you start to break down what makes brands memorable. And there are a couple things, but like the biggest drivers of memory are inside the things that catch the eye and draw the attention. And they're also in what allows you to be seen in the first place. So we like to talk about in our work, creativity being one of the biggest drivers of growth for a brand, and then media or reach also being another big driver of growth in a brand. So when I talk about creativity, just to break that down for a moment, these are all the things you think about when you think about a brand itself, like being able to, it's the feel, it's the creative, it's the feel, it's beyond the image. It's also it can be a sound, it can be a feeling, there's emotion connected to it. It's the distinctive brand assets inside of the creative itself. It's like we talk about buying situations. What is it linked to? What are the situations linked to? Like, so for example, we're all coffee drinkers, maybe to some extent, what type of coffee you think about when you're walking down the street versus the type of coffee you think about when you're curled up in your couch with a blanket at home. All of these things are things that we can think about, and as if we answer the question for ourselves, what do we want to be known for? All of those things can be put into play to help build the type of brand that you want to connect to your audience.
I think you had me at coffee.
Because
yesterday you and I went to a coffee shop that I'm not going to name.
Yeah, we won't name names.
As soon as somebody said this coffee shop, I just felt the whole experience.
Yeah.
I could taste my favorite coffee. And I don't know, my heart felt warm.
Yeah.
So that's the expression of memorability.
Exactly.
Because it was not about the coffee. It was about like, I'm just sipping on my coffee. I'm with my girlfriends. I'm having fun. And I just felt at peace.
Yeah.
So that's why brands want to become memorable. And then you talked about the creative, the importance of the creative, but not the creativity is like everything surrounding a brand. And then you talked about the media is like, how do people get access to it? Because access is important as well.
Access is important. And so we are reach maximalists at the B2B Institute. So reach matters, so you do have to grab someone's attention, but to do that, you have to reach them in the first place. So, in B2B, we talk about category reach, because we don't want people to assume, like, I think one of the things that we are challenged with in the space of B2B is this challenge of hyper targeting, because we can target like Joe in Montana with like precision. We think that's the best move. But what we don't know is that Joe is maybe surrounded by other decision makers that need to make a decision. We're not talking to them. We're not talking to people who are rising up professionally that will make a decision. We just need to cast a wider net and not assume that we know who's going to be interested in the product. So in B2C, if you're selling toothpaste, you can target everyone with teeth, right? But in B2B, if you're selling an analytics platform, you want to, as broadly as possible, talk to everyone who could potentially buy an analytics platform to be successful.
Because there's a concept in B2B that it's group buying decisions. So there's not one person who makes a decision. It's multiple people that you need to influence throughout the journey. And that's why you talk about like reach maximalism, which I love. I love it. It's like, but how does it not, like when I hear maximalism, I'm thinking spray and pray, but how is it not spraying and praying in your approach for B2B? How do you make sure that you maximize the reach, but you don't just spray?
Spray and pray. So that's what we're talking about, category reach. I mean, we know that not everyone's going to say, let me buy $1 million analytics platform. Like we understand that, which is that's distinct from B2C, where it's like everyone has teeth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is where, like, shameless plug for LinkedIn, right? Where you can identify a broad group of decision makers. Right. So whether decision makers are in tech or a particular vertical, you want to have the widest possible scenario, but also keeping in mind that there are people that it doesn't make sense. They're not going to be the audience for that as well.
I think what you said around like being a maximalist in the category, that's some type of targeting, but reaching that category and being make sure that you're really maximizing it. I think that makes a lot of sense. So now, like, we're talking to a lot of individuals in the podcast. Some people would aspire to be like you, right? To have a strong brand. Some people aspire to be also memorable. You're both memorable and you have a strong brand.
Thank you.
So how does one individual, I mean, as soon as I started LinkedIn, I got to know you right away. I'm not sure how and when, but everybody was talking, you need to meet Heath. And I was like, trying to log into the systems, right? So you have a memorable brand and then your brand is working for you because people are telling me that I need to meet you. And then I go online, I find you and I'm like, who is this person? And I watch the videos and I'm like in love. And you were like, oh my God, this woman is a freak. Why is she liking all of my videos? I just thought it was brilliant and I want to know you. So what is beautiful about having a strong and memorable brand is that your brand is opening doors while you sleep. And I think for our audience and people out there who want to know, how do I become memorable? How do I leave a legacy while I'm alive? Hopefully. So how do you do it? How do you take these concepts and bring them back at the individual level?
Yeah. So first of all, I think I just want to double click on what you said about door opening while you're sleeping, because your brand is out front as an individual. It's speaking for you. It is building credibility with people before you say anything. And it is lowering people's guards, opening doors, opening opportunities for collaboration. It is a very powerful tool. I think a lot of the things that we talk about in building a company brand can be applied to building one's personal brand. But the first step is to just, I think, for people to understand, well, what is it that you want to be known for? What is it you want to be known for? And everyone, because we're human, have like beautiful, unique characteristics that they can bring to it, whether it's like a big idea, something you believe in that you stand for. It's the way you introduce yourself on stage in meetings. It's how you dress.
Yeah.
It's how you regard people. Like, and you think about a brand identity, a brand is really all the compilation of all of the different touch points and ways that people interact with a brand.
Yeah.
It's how you make people feel when they leave your presence as well. Do they feel seen? Do they feel regarded? So it's you're actually asking a big question. And I think it's helpful for people to first of all understand that that's something you can actually wield.
Yeah.
And to be thoughtful about, well, what do I want that to be? But not in an inauthentic engineered way, because that's gross.
Not calculated. But I think what you said is how to make people feel. And when I coach my team or friends or family, it's, listen, sometimes I love what Oprah says is follow the energy.
Oh, yes.
And we tend to flock around energies that are uplifting, positive, like make us feel something, right? Like, for example, I'm a big fan of yours because I like your energy. And I think
I like yours.
Oh, thank you. So I think it's like going back and reflecting on like, what is the energy when I come into the room? Do I lift the energy up? Do I lift the energy down? Am I an addition or am I a subtraction of energy? And I think that's important because people want to drive a brand, but if you're not in the room, people are like, oh, thank God this person is gone. That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. And I think like there needs to be some level of self-awareness, like you being clear on how you're regarded and doing the work. I mean, I think so. To get clarity, like I like to ask 3 questions. They're questions that people maybe don't think about, but because they're challenging. Like, what are you passionate about? What are you committed to? You know, what do you aspire to create? So that's future looking. You might.
That's big.
Yeah, it's big. Another exercise I've done is called My Irresistible Life, and it's writing the story of your life, looking back from the time of your death across multiple years. I know it's a little bit morbid, but what it does is get you really clear on your North Star and am I making decisions in alignment with that? And then I think once you're clear, because like if you're going to run to a destination, it's good to know like where you're running, right? You just want to start running just randomly in a direction. But once you're clear, now you can be consistent and disciplined. And it's, you could take one shot at something, but once you're clear, now you can take 1,000 shots at that thing, and one of them is going to land.
Because you know what is the goalpost, and you know that you're never going to stop. It's a bit like when you were running the 800 meters.
Exactly.
So you know what the goal is, and you know that it's aligns with your deep purpose, and that's where you want to be able to drive impact.
Exactly. So I'm going to continue to talk about the things that I'm passionate about. I believe that inspiration, information, and action are catalysts for transformation. I am all about teaching people, like breaking down complex things to get people to move from point A to point B. I apply that to pretty much everything I do, whether it's the B2B Institute work, whether it's work within Transform Her, whether it's this new venture I have around, it's a real estate investment where I'm building a retreat based on the concept of tribe. Everything
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this. Super important, because I wanted to ask you, so you found your calling, like your boss lady, like on all the big stages at Cannes, at Adweek, everywhere. And so what's next for you? And I know you created that leadership program for women at LinkedIn, which is called Transform Her. But what else? Like you talked about this retreat. Tell us more.
Yeah.
Like how are you planning to drive impact in the world? Heath, what are you going to do to transform the planet?
Yes. So, it's in the same vein. It's the same lane that I'm going to continue to play in until I take my last breath. I'm going to be on a rocking chair on a porch being like, I did that. Oh, like it's gonna... But, so
tell me about the retreat.
Let me tell you about the retreat. So I was struck and I think everyone's had this experience, like through the pandemic, about how isolated we move.
Loneliness.
The loneliness of it all. And I had, in 2019, I had a trip to Ghana. I went to the Ghana Tech Summit.
I want to go.
I know. We got to go. We got to go. But I had the opportunity to meet a really special person. She is a leader within the Mullen-Lowe agency. I don't know if I name names here.
Name all the names.
Nkordu, I love her. And she is the princess of a tribe. And I had an opportunity to sit down with her at her agency. And I shared with her that my mom told me that I have a great, I don't know how many greats, grandfather that was taken from West Africa to Jamaica, and that he was from the Ashanti tribe.
Oh my gosh. I'm having chills.
Yes. So she was like, she goes, the Ashanti tribe. And she like pulled this picture frame from around her desk. And she said, this is the king and the queen of the Ashanti tribe. I want to take you to see your people.
Oh my gosh. When are you going?
So here's the thing. I had like a day left in the trip. I wasn't able to go. And then the pandemic hit. So this is a goal for me in 2024 to get back to Ghana.
I'll go
and
with
do
you.
This. Let's do
I
this.
have a friend who left
Yeah.
New York and Wall Street to open a yoga center in Ghana. So
Oh my gosh.
let's plan it.
Let's-
I'm super excited.
let's
Any
go.
plugs? Because I know you gotta go. Because
Let's
this
go.
woman is busy. She's like
Yeah.
back to back to back.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you were able to be
Yeah.
here. Before we go, I want to
Yeah.
know what is the name of your retreat and your
Yeah.
project, and then top 3 very short career tips for people who want to grow their career and accelerate and drive
Absolutely.
impact in the world.
Okay. So one thing I learned from her, I learned what it looks like to live in a tribe, and I was struck by the community of it, and I want to bring aspects of that back for us. And so the tribe is really about accomplishing things together, getting things done. There are a number of things that maybe we don't love to do, but doing them together makes it easier. So there will be a number of different concepts, from anywhere from like thinking about, I need to write a living will. I need to think about elder care. I need to do 40 social posts. It's going to be all of this. We're going to get stuff done together and we're going to have fun. There's going to be private chefs and wellness and all sorts of goodness. So that's the idea of the retreat. It's called Marambella. Marambella.
And then I'll add it on the screen so people can follow. They will have the links.
Okay, 3 tips. You are worthy. Just by you being and breathing on this planet, you are worthy.
Self-love.
So everything starts from that. Second thing, look to your left and your right and look at how you can do things in community. The people to your left and your right are the people on the journey with you. It's so much easier to do things together. And then step 3, your platform. Like going back to what I was saying about building a brand, think about what is it that you want to be known for? What's the legacy you want to lead? Life is richer and more meaningful when you're resolute about the direction that you're going. And also leadership is what you need, and discomfort is part of what it looks like to be a leader. So embrace that and keep going.
Embrace the struggle. Embrace the discomfort. Live in your purpose. Thank you so much, Ty. I'm super excited. I want to be part of your tribe.
Come into the tribe. Yes.
I want to go to Ghana as well to see the king and the queen.
We're going.
So thank you so much for joining us at Driving Impact. Ty, I'm so excited. From 1.5 years when I first heard of you, to then meeting you, to now interviewing you, I feel like a better human already. I feel connected to you and your tribe. And I'm excited to keep seeing you grow, evolve, and launch yourself into the world. Thank you for being who you are.
Thank you so much for having me and for creating this space for conversation.